No matter what size your home is, it's so important that you create space for things that bring you joy. And that's exactly the case with this next incredible tiny home in France, which is just as much a music studio as it is a house.
Eh bien bonjour, je m'appelle Guillaume and I'm glad to introduce to you my life partner, which is my tiny house. The size of the house is 6 meters long and 2.5 wide and about 4 meters high. I'm not the owner of the property and in regards to the law, I'm not legally here, but the mayor of the town is aware of my presence. He met me and also he met my tiny house, and I suppose he accepts my presence because I guess it does not bother him because it's a marginal situation. I like the fact to adapt to my environment and not the environment to adapt to me. I love the environment here because it's really raw. Everything is quite random and I like this because it's full of colors or variety of things and disorder. I like things as they are. Concerning electricity and water, I'm grid connected to the main house, but I have quite limited resources, which is a good practice for me. I need to be limited to understand the importance of saving. The idea of living in a tiny house came from a long time ago, but at some point in my life I wanted to buy a house. Then I bought it, which was quite minimalist and nice, but I quickly realized that it was not the way I wanted to live because I was stuck somewhere. Then I started to think again about the tiny house. Moving is a thing, and of course the purpose of a tiny house is to move. I don't want to move every month, but having the possibility to move is something quite liberating. And for me it was really important because even if you don't move, you are just free. But I had a few problems to solve because I'm a musician, so I need some space for my musical instruments. I'm a composer and pianist on a side activity because my main activity is software developer. But how to be a musician living in a tiny house was a complicated question because instruments take a lot of space. And if you are a musician yourself, you always want more and more gear. I needed space for all of that gear to make that happen. I believe you're here to see what's inside, so follow me. Welcome inside the house. I wanted to have a house which is split into parts because I like the idea of having multiple rooms. And that's why, for example, the bathroom is in the middle. And also, I wanted to have some slight touch of marine atmosphere because if I did not have the possibility of living in a tiny house, my dream would have been to live in a mill or in a lighthouse. And that's why you will see some touch of marine atmosphere for that specific reason. This is the kitchen, which is not an inspirational thing for me. That's why I want to keep it simple and practical. You have pretty much the basic thing you can find in the kitchen. So you have 2 gas burners, a fridge, an oven, I don't use it quite often, a yogurt maker, I don't know the right English translation. And I also have a few practical things, for example a work plant that moves and you have under it a washing machine. From here and there you can find a lot of handful small storage spaces. There's also a sliding drawer, which is quite practical for a lot of little things you don't know where to put them. Over there is a bathroom with a sliding door. You know, it's quite a simple bathroom with toilets and a shower, some storage here. And finally a cabinet, which is my father's idea because he told to me when I need to wash my teeth, I don't want to go to the kitchen to see all of the dishes. So he suggested me to have a cabinet, which is a really good idea. So thank you, Daddy. This is the dining room, which is more a dining area. At start it was a table on a single piece, but it was a complete nightmare and really a bad design idea. For one reason, I have a ladder to go upstairs, and when I want to put the ladder, I need to fold down the table. And every time I did that, I needed to remove everything on the table, then fold down the table, and then put the ladder, and so on. 10 times a day. So it was really unpractical. That's why I asked to split in two parts, and then I can still have a part which is up and a part down with the ladder, and then I don't have the problem anymore. I'm very happy with that change, because when you live in a so small home, every detail counts. And then this is the living room. So the living room is more a music studio room actually, because there is a huge part dedicated to the music and a small part for myself. I have two kind of bean bags, because it's for me more practical than a couch, because I can move them as I want. And they are also convertible into a bed, especially when it's warm upstairs. I'm quite at ease to sleep downstairs. I have two shelves actually, one shelf here with books and one here with books and also some CD, because I like CD. Don't stream music, please, buy CD, it's important. And the rest is where the magic happens. Not sure of, but that's where I compose music, for example for Le Grand JD YouTube channel, and so on, some documentaries and short movies as well. Mostly orchestral stuff. And I have a lot of synthesizers on reverberation, analog synth, and a master keyboard, which was for me a complicated choice, because in my last house I had many other synths and I had to choose one because I can't have many here. So I did carefully choose my main keyboard, which slides to get some centimeters of space. In my last house I had also drums, but of course I can't have drums here, so I let them go. It was quite a challenge for me to make my musical workflow easier and to keep it small. And of course I did change some gear to be sure that everything can fit my needs and is small enough. Everything has been designed around my musical gear. And I have to admit that I'm really happy, especially because of the landscape. I don't know if it helps, but it's better to have a great view when playing music. Electricity consumption was not really a goal, but I have to admit that everything is not really consuming much of electricity. I have some gear to control that, but I can play for hours without any problem with that. Problem I have is more with the oven on winter. And because I like movies and because in some aspect I work in the industry, I have a tiny projector, so it's a way for me to have a big screen in a small house. I also have a lot of DVDs. Same for music, buy some DVDs, don't stream everything, please. And now it's time to go upstairs. So we are upstairs, and I wanted to have the possibility of inviting people here. So that's why I have two bedrooms actually, a small one and a bigger one. I have a girlfriend who has a daughter and she sleeps here. As I told, I want to have the impression of multiple space, so that's why there is that small stair here. And I have a collection full of DVDs here. And here is the bedroom, the bigger one. I also have my clothes, some books, and a balcony, which is a small one, but I like the idea to be outside on high, which is a sensation I love. I just enjoy to be high up and to feel the nature around me. It remembers me the lighthouse in some aspects. What I like with that balcony is mostly at night, because there is a forest full of animals and a lot of sounds, which I love. So at night I just open the window and listen to the nature, and it's incredible because the nature sounds very differently from night to day, and that's what I like. the most. The tiny house has cost me 80,000 euros and I have been here for 2 years. I can't tell I will live the rest of my life into a tiny house because I don't know. I'm driven by life, that's why I can't say it's my main home for years. But for now it fits me perfectly. When I compare the tiny house with my old house, which was a more traditional house, I feel like more free because I have way less questions and worries. It's a simpler life for me. But the downside of living in a tiny house in France, tiny house but also caravans and yurts, is that the laws are not really adapted for us because the law is quite rude. With mobile homes, we can't stay for more than 3 months on the same place. That's the rule. We have to deal with that, and some people, including me, choose to live without really asking if they can. It's a problem, and I really hope that at some point things will change because we can't do what we want. I'm definitively aware of that. But I hope that things will move in favor of more inclusive laws, and I truly hope that at some point the laws will evolve to allow us to live more legally into our houses. I would like to tell to people that we are not asocial. We don't want to live outside the society. We just want to live differently, not better. I didn't say that. For me, ecology is a thing, of course, but I don't want to make the impression of I'm doing better than people because I'm living in a tiny house. For me, it's wrong. Choosing to live in a tiny house is something that's more personal. It's just a way to feel more in connection with your mind, but it's more an individual approach. That's why I hope at some point the variety of people we can meet and live together with all of our individual aspirations.
What Guillaume has created for himself here is absolutely incredible. As a musician myself, I am so jealous of the setup that he has created, and no doubt some amazing music is going to be made in this tiny house.